Shit, I'm on that main line. We keep it active, siempre listo when it's game time. I put that OT for the bottom, how we earn stripes. Like catching enemies and leave them in a past life. Y por su lengua, that's the reason why they get sliced. They think they're tough, got the better and they drop dime. These fools are trap, crave attention while they speak lies. But fuck the talking, ain't no evidence on this side. You're fucking with a straight demonio shit that don't hide.
What comes around, should we take flight? Nothing new, another day on this rough side.
But in el barrio we don't talk, fool, we take flight. And when there's beef, fool, you know that it's on sight. Love and hate, boy, you know there's a thin line. Make the wrong pick and flat line. Make the wrong pick and flat line. We don't talk in the barrio, fool, we take flight. And when there's beef, fool, you know that it's on sight. Love and hate, boy, you know there's a thin line.
M.O.D Entertainment presents G-Files.
What's good, G Life? This right here is LA County, City of Angels, Los Angeles. Now, very few parts of Los Angeles are very recognized by people. Example, Compton, South Central, Long Beach, East LA, when people think about gangs. And another portion is West LA, the MacArthur Park area, all of that. The Pico Union District, all of that, the west part of Los Angeles. And that's where we're going to be at today. We're going to be covering the crews that became varrios within the west portion of Los Angeles. Now, this is going to have to take place in about maybe 2 to 3 videos because, yes, there's that many crews that became varrios within this area. I'm not over-exaggerating. I would have to say maybe like about 15 crews that became neighborhoods within this area. It came with that wave of when that door was, it had an opening, for new neighborhoods to come up, and a lot of these crews did make that leap. You know what I mean? It's not an easy task. But hey, they achieved the status, and we're gonna be starting off with one of the oldest crews that was well known. A lot of people know about this crew, when we're talking about just right here in LA in general, which is the barrio OFA. OFA translating to Oxford Avenue. That's West Side Oxford Avenue. Before known as Out for Action. They had many meanings, just like any other crew that, make their names, their lettering stand for a bunch of different stuff. Out for Action. I heard just so many of them. But Out for Action is probably the one that's the most recognized, one of them all. And then now, but now obviously what it stands for is for Oxford Avenue, because Oxford being the location within this area that they hang out, you know what I mean? You could catch them right there on Oxford Avenue. They originated out of the what you could say is the Rockwood area. The Rockwood turf. The reason why they beef it with Rockwood heavily, so you see the arch crossed out. It goes down, you know what I mean? Crews, tend to roam around and tend to, chill in other people's turfs, you know what I mean? That's why conflicts and issues occur where, they either become a part of the neighborhoods, or they either end up going against the neighborhoods, or end up dropping in general. But the OFA handles business, you know what I mean? These guys ain't no suckers, ain't no chumps. They were a large tagging crew, because they originated as a tagging crew. They were taggers, and then they became tag bangers, and then they became, full-blown gangbanging. You know what I mean? They were always a large tagging crew, that has been around for a while. It has been around since the late 80s, early 90s. This crew has been around longer than some of these barrios, you know what I mean? That's real talk. It's an old school crew. You know what I mean? People seen it up. They, it's one of those crews that you definitely hear about. You know what I mean? They were doing their thing, and they wouldn't allow themselves to get punked. Going at it with the neighborhoods around the area, standing their ground and putting theirs on the map. You know what I mean? The OFA ain't no chumps. You know what I mean? They've been doing the thing and still continue to be right here representing for that Oxford Avenue. Another crew that became a neighborhood within this area of West LA is the Tiny Insane Criminals, the TIK. TIK was another one of these old school tag banging crews. These guys, I would say, were always originally more of tag bangers. They were taggers, but more tag bangerish than your typical tagging crew. And they're old school, like I said. Been up since the late 80s, early 90s when this crew was up. So these guys, been doing their thing, you know what I mean? They already been around for a long time. Like I said, this crew is old. Is older than some of these varrios. That's real talk. You know what I mean? And they had sections throughout Los Angeles. But their turf is from 23rd. That's west of 23rd to Washington Boulevard to Arlington to 5th. So that's 5th from Washington, 23rd, and Arlington is where you can find their barrio. So what's 21st Street, that stretches through their turf. I know it's just a small little section. Their turf, it's not a big turf. Their barrio has never been a big barrio. Even though they are located in several sections of Los Angeles. Now, I know that there's a TIK that's clicked up. That's a click from the lot. This TIK and that TIK is two different TIKs. Used to be the same TIK, but now it's two different. It's one of those things like the portion of that neighborhood on the south side, made the choice to get in. These guys chose to continue to represent their solo bolo. It has happened with several. KWS is one that comes to mind as well, and a few others. But the TIK, have their writers, been doing their thing, holding it down, for their barrio. You know what I mean? Because they reached that status, and they've been a neighborhood for a while already. You know what I mean? Since the late '90s, and continue to put it down for theirs. Shout out to my homie Sleepy. From TIK, shout out to Suspect, shout out to Moreno, real writers, old OGs out of TIK already, and they do have some. I'm not gonna say that they have a clique in the San Fernando Valley, but they do have homies out there in the Valle. Not a clique because they don't have like turfs and everything. They don't claim the Valle and stuff like that, but they do have homies out there. But yeah, that's what's up with the TIK, the Tiny Insane Criminals. That is what they make their hood stand for, and put theirs on the map. Now, another one of these neighborhoods that used to be a crew. This one hadn't been around that long, but they rose up the ranks pretty quickly. It's one that you definitely see hit up, which is the HB. HB standing for Barrio Hellbound. Yes, Hellbound or Hellboys. But Hellbound is the original title in which they make it stand for. Right here, their barrio was located, close to the Mid City, Stoners neighborhood, right there in the area that's known as Harvard Heights. So their turf is from 14th all the way to Washington, from Washington to Western to Normandy, from 14 or Pico Boulevard, is where you could catch them roaming around. So what's Venice Boulevard was 15th, was 14th, was Kingsley was Hubart, and Roosevelt and all of that is what's considered the Hellbounds, turf where they be roaming around, close to where the Dollar Tree's at. That is their turf, where they be doing their thing. And like I said, they were one of these tag banging, because they were never really a tagging crew. They were more tag bangers, that had been around, late 90s, early 2000s, when they had been around, and not roughly big in size, they have always been a small crew, small neighborhood, but nonetheless, don't get it twisted, homie. They handle business and they do get it on the cracking. But that's what's up with the Hellbound neighborhood right there representing. Now, also located over here in the danger zone, West LA, you know, because it's just jam packed full of barrios. I'm not just saying that. I'm not over exaggerating. It is, you know, it is that chaotic with barrios. Like I mean, like chaotic. So many different just neighborhoods just all over the place that there's no breathing room, you know, between Hispanic and black. And the next tag banging crew that became a barrio within this area that you definitely hear about is the LOAS. Now, the LOAS, even though people think that it stands for Barrio Los Angeles, that actually is not true. It's actually known as Barrio Lost Angels. You know what I mean? Because they call it the City of Angels. So angels that lose their way are lost. So, you know, it's the Lost Angels barrio. You know what I mean? And they were a tagging crew that became a neighborhood. You know what I mean? And had been a neighborhood already for a while. They were, you know, a pretty old school, you know, tag banging crew that had been around since the mid 90s. You know, when, you know, they were up doing their thing. And continue to still you know, do their thing. You know what I mean? These guys ain't no chumps, ain't no suckers. You definitely see them up because these guys tag a lot. And actually have nice writing. I ain't even gonna lie. They have a lot of homies that are very talented. And they have a pretty decent sized chunk of turf. Their turf is from West Boulevard to Venice, and then from Venice all the way to Crenshaw. From Crenshaw to I would have to say to 23rd. So everything that's in the middle is their turf. You know what I mean? It was Washington and Virginia, Victoria, Buckingham, all of that is what's considered their barrio. Which is a pretty, you know, decent sized chunk of territory. Is where you can find them roaming around and doing their thing. I'm not gonna say that they're like deep and stuff like that. They're a decent size. And they do put it down. You definitely see the activity by these guys and continue to represent. But this is another tagging crew that became a barrio and continues to hold it down right here for the Lost Angels. Now here we have another one of these crews that became a neighborhood, but this one's a little bit different because this one was actually 3 different crews, at least what I was told, that came together to form a more larger crew that then became a neighborhood, which is the barrio ARC. ARC translating to Arcadia Street. You know, sometimes you see it up as AST, but it's ARC, and it has several meanings before, but you know, finally, you know, it just stands for now as Arcadia Street because they are located here in Arcadia Street. That is the reason why, you know, yeah, that's why you see it AST, because Arcadia Street. But ARC is the way that is written. You know, they have different ways of writing it, just like, you know, other neighborhoods, you know, as well. It's, you know, it's something that's, you know, common within neighborhoods to do. And like I said, this was the reason why this crew got large so fast, or this neighborhood now, should I say, got large in such a short amount of time, is because it was a mixture of 3 different crews. I was told, I think it was like KOK, NFL, and I forgot another one that ended up becoming this neighborhood. And you know, I know what people are gonna want to say in the comments and stuff like that, but we only come and tell it how it is. It is a real barrio. They do have members. It is still around. It's not dead. It's not extinct like people like to say and stuff like that. People really like talking without knowing. Those who really come from the streets already know barrios don't die. You know what I mean? You're always gonna have homies, even though you don't see them like posted and stuff like that. And like I said, it only takes 1 second and 1 time, and that's it. Never underestimate anybody. But yeah, that's what's up with the ARC. Another one of these tag banging crews that became a lot.